the architect of this event, and obviously we're here to have a night of poetry in celebration of Tolu Akinyemi. Can we give Tolu a big round of applause? And we're going to start with an open mic, and I'll kick off the open mic with a couple of my own poems, and then we'll hand it over to the next performer. The first poem that I'm going to read is called Dream in Japanese. I'm not going to give it any more introduction than that. Sometimes, when I miss you, the land around me tremors from cracks in my tectonic plates. Alone in this Zen garden, I lay myself on a tatami mat and dream about us two. The Sakura cherry, refreshed by evening rain, opens soft petals to receive their gift. In this one woman monger no, my wakey flies to me on imagined wings. Days and miles evaporate like Japanese mist. In my opera dreams, it's my fingertips and origami folds you kiss. The next poem that I'm going to read is called What I Learned from Shakespeare. My formative years were spent in the company of many, but none so influential as the bard. At school, I gave Shylock his pound of flesh and became complicit in Viola's deception. While others groaned upon hearing the news, inside I celebrated at the thought of more time spent with the books in the running brooks. Before I turned a teen, my home became the church, the building named for Shakespeare, but psalms rather than sonnets were what was spoken here. We prayed and sang and told old tales and laughed. The elders taught me much, Iago's all, some rise by sin, others by virtue fall. From the judgment that filled those walls, I learned to be respectful, quiet, and not to argue, or to think. I learned that I was steeped in sin. I learned to feel guilt for things I could not control, and to wear jumpers in the summer, as my body would cause others to fall. The sermons in the stones, and the good in not quite everything. At 15 I went to work at the Shakespeare Inn on Highgate. Years spent here where the wine of life was drawn taught me many things about life and love and cleaning rooms. Time spent with fairies and young lovers. Helena was my favourite, a twin room, smaller and only single beds to make. So many people came and went, 4 owners, 3 chefs, 2 managers, and countless others through the doors. From these I learned good and ill, pain of loss, joy of gain, and the bitterness of compromise. But its eternal summer shall not fade, and neither shall the friends I made. Mike, always hidden behind heavy wood and dark ale, or in the flat adjacent living his soap opera. He and a different woman each week made the beast with 2 backs, once with my best friend while I pretended not to care. Good Lord, what fools these mortals be. Of all I learned whilst working within its immortal walls, none so vital as this. To thine own self be true, and don't piss off the people who serve the food. Okay, next on the open mic, we've got Chandri.
No pressure. Hello everyone.
Hello.
Hi. My name's Charlie, and the piece that I wrote today was inspired by a trip that I took to occupied Palestine and the Palestinian refugee camps of Lebanon. I was extremely affected by what I saw, the oppression of the Palestinian people, and I saw some really awful things which I'm not going to discuss now, so I decided to put them in a poem. So here goes. This piece is called 70 Years. You came to my land in 1948 and invented your own state. All with your troops, a million of us cleansed, oppressed by greed and hate. Hate when my water is rationed and yours flows free. based not on my human right, but my ethnicity. Hate when my sister gives birth at your illegal checkpoint because of the scarf she wore on her head, because she forgot the ID card that you had assigned her, who said apartheid was dead. The years went on and no one spoke, and then you demolished my village. You stole our homes, you took our land through ethnic cleanse and pillage. Your settlements have pools and tools and schools before your Messiah has risen. You're armed with arms and walls and guards, condemned us to an open-air prison. 200 of my children imprisoned in your illegal child-only prison. Whilst you preach terrorism, what about Zionism? When I state the facts, they accuse me of anti-Semitism. Then you came for my family, you killed my husband and went on to slaughter my child. I tried to resist with my flag in my hand, yet I was the one reviled. Shatila, cast lead, protective edge were the names of your operations. We were unarmed civilians, 10,000 dead, a life of humiliation. Today there stand checkpoints, military roads, military law and Jewish-only roads. A 26-foot high apartheid wall goes through, a 26-foot high apartheid wall snakes through my land where my olive trees would grow, where my ancestry no longer shows. Your night raids are going upon my children using cable ties and blindfolds. I wish the world could see through my eyes, I wish the world could know. And although we've been granted the right of return through international law, for 70 years you've deprived my right where my ancestors were once born. You're one of the most powerful militaries in the world, targeting an unarmed population. We have no army. You took our men. You imprisoned them 10 years for their freedom demonstration against your occupation. We have no guns, no bombs, no tanks. We have nothing which we can threaten. You have your tear gas, your guns, your bombs, your internationally banned weapons. 6 years ago you bombed my people whilst they were trapped on a strip of land. 3,000 slaughtered. From your weapons, the blood of 600 children on your hands. You weren't punished for these crimes against humanity. Your offence, you said, was self-defence. But 600 children though, that's insanity. It's a travesty that the world looked on as you went on to bomb 4 boys playing football on a beach. Or how about that time you pepper bombed a toddler when he was in his cot asleep? Poor little Ali, may his soul rest in peace. The media, the propagandists, the benefactors of our suffering, they won't learn our story. Only ignorance will they preach. But luckily this is poetry. These are facts, this is freedom of speech. Before you colonised, we lived together. Our religions, they lived in peace. And piece by piece you stole my land. And piece by piece you sold your brand to those who would benefit, even those in politics. As for killing my people, you were branded the hero and I was the terrorist. For decades you alleged you wanted peace and we cried for a solution. Yet all the governments continued to arm you in the face of UN resolutions. We don't want retribution, we want our freedom, if not then a revolution. How much longer must we suffer whilst our cries are portrayed as silence? The hypocrisy of fake peacemakers, the loud rhetoric of their silence. 70 years have passed, my hands are tired, my face she has new lines. My name is Gaza, my name is West Bank, my name is Palestine.
When I say, wow, that was amazing. Next on the open mic, we've got Beth.
Oh. I'm sneaking this first one in, but I feel on. It's clinging to roots you're not sure you ever had. Memories kindled under bridges or by square towers in the sun. It is flat sounds on hills and soft voices in your ear. It is her, and him, and them, and there. It is the smell of seaweed and long roads home. It is the journey of discovery that had to shroud you in mist and throw you across an island before you got It is feeling like home far away from it. It is singing on a train and a squirrel chasing dog. It is a safety, a longing and belonging you cannot shift. It is the light in the photographs he sends that brings the soul of the sea to your landlocked shore. It is, yes, it is water and fire. An ambiguous road sign, a horse on a hill. It is a point of the compass where my needle strings true. It is the wind in my veins. It is a I belong in a writing group, and our theme a few weeks ago was functional mess, and this is called functional mess. I've always carried bags. Taught by my mother, who brought vegetables in the market, carrying them home in fairly traded jute. Looked at for years like she was strange. We have carrier bags for you, look. My understairs stash is depleted. I'm down to the ones too small to line bins, but too big to be useless. Temporary homes for donations and shredding, then folded away for the future. I thought all this life and death stuff was for the future. Put away for later. But now I'm carrying the pieces of myself in a 10-year-old supermarket carrier bag that looks good from a distance but is cracked and battered close up. Usually I am better prepared, but sudden had me scrabbling, digging in the bottom of my handbag for whatever was left. One day I might have the chance to reattach muscle to bone, suspend my heart on stronger wires. But life still demands I show up whole. No visible pain, I slip that down in the bag too. This was all I had with me when everything fell apart. I just picked up my bones and kept moving. They say plastic remains. Infinitesimal pieces sifting into everything. Graves and bodies and gardens. Myself needs a stronger carrier. Something woven and lined that I might take myself home. And because I'm in a room with two people that I've only just met and I've known for 3.5 years, you can hold my hand if you like. Sometimes I leave it there in case this minute is too much to bear alone, in case you need to know that something is solid when everything shakes, in case of emergency, in case you need something to hold on to, maybe in case I do. But I wondered if you knew, so in case the weight of living is too much, is more than one can carry, in case today's grief needs a friend, in case companions are scarce, in case you're waiting for a sign, this is it. In case of emergency, please break this barrier where touch has become something we don't do. And our skins have been left hungry, a state of sensual deprivation, as prevalent as safety notices, but nowhere near as well lit. So, break rank, break the rules, break a habit, break the silence. In case of emergency, please, break glass.
Awesome, Beth, thanks. Okay, we'll have one more on the open mic and then we'll have Tolu's first set. If I haven't called you for the open mic yet, don't worry, there's another open mic set later on. Next we've got Tolu.
The first time I realised I was black was at school with all the kids and their poo slurs. Sorry, jokes. After all, kids will be kids, and my teacher too found me to be the punchline, so I hid. The first time I realised I was a woman was feeling the stinging on my back from all the boys peeing on my bra strap, unwrapping my sense of dignity and self-worth, but they say it's my fault for hitting puberty too early. The second time I realised I was black was in a queue for the pub with several other people and the only bag checked was mine. That's when I realised the skin colour was a crime. You used my body as an excuse to let loose your true thoughts and intentions. The second time I realised I was a woman was my first office job, working with computers, but they're the ones who couldn't compute that when I picked up the phone I wasn't the receptionist. The third time I realized I was black was when I joined all the rallies. Hashtag BLM, hashtag end racism, hashtag blackout. The movement lasted a week. And now I no longer even exist or have the right to speak. Well, that's about rights. The third time I realized as a woman was gaining the knowledge that there's a 1 in 4 chance that a man will claim my body as his own, and I just happen to be the one. In a justice system so flawed, the blame and the shame is still on my shoulders. The time I realized that I was a black woman was learning to respond to everything except my own name, with all the purposeful mispronunciations only to just give up and call me darling, with all the ignorant questions used as an excuse to approach and encroach on my personal space, making sure I remember my place and that I never feel safe. To you, but a plot of land to be worked on as my ancestors once did. I realized I was a black woman when a man tells me he knows how I feel, turning misogyny into reason to spread the patriarchy. I will never turn down an ally, but I will always fight the guy that says racism is over and sexism doesn't exist. The guy who posted black squares on my Instagram yesterday, and today he slapped my ass. A traitor, a manipulator, and a double agent with the sole purpose of stealing my voice. What I realized as a black woman is I always have a choice. Thank you. This next one is a bit of a sort of collaborative one that I did, and it's sort of part of like women's rights and based on who are we as a woman and like redefining that. So yeah. Who are we? What do you call us? Women, sure. Although does everything we are need to be male related? How about females? Yeah, I agree. Ill. Another term piggybacking off men, and that is one that is even worse. So who are we then? We are mothers, daughters, sisters, listeners, carers, educators, and much, much more. We are love and hope, anger and fear. We are justice. And we're not just this. I could go on and days, so isn't there a smaller noun or phrase? I looked up on Google, and here's what I found. A descriptor of our collective noun is gaggle. Yeah, and that makes me want to gag. Oh. I scrolled some more and found bouquet. Well, okay, I thought that's not much better. Comparing us to a bunch of flowers really isn't clever. I guess it's up to us, as it often is, to define ourselves. And we are beautiful. We are worthy. And we've had to claw our way up just to become equals somehow, someday. We are fighters and we've got the scars to prove it. Through all our troubles and trials, we have survived and thrived and taken control of our own lives. Calling us heroines will be accurate. Calling survivors will be precise. But since one factor we can all relate to is having to pave our way despite what others say, call us brave. Thank you very much.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, and I please introduce our headliner for the evening, Tolu Akinyemi.
Can I have a loud roar like a lion? Can I have a loud roar like a lion? Can I have a loud roar like a lion? Thank you everyone, thank you for coming out tonight to support. Yeah, so I'll be starting with my collection of poems. The Morning Cloud is Empty, and this poem today was supposed to be a storm, maybe it's still coming, Storm Agnes, they're expecting that. So this is titled Storms of Death. Owen, Barra, Corey, Dudley, Eunice, Franklin, Gladys, Aman, Imani, Jack, Kim, Logan, Meg, Nassim, Owen, Paul, Ruby, Singh, Tinek, Virgil, and William. And let me just add Agnes. What do these names have in common? These evil winds with deadly fangs. The storms are eating the living. Mother Nature's anger is on a collision course. Falling trees. The living have become falling trees. Souvenirs. The voice on the radio is a storm of emotions. Angry with Mother Nature and our unforgiving hearts. This next one is titled Hill of Hope, and so many times we try to have hope, we try to, we have ideas of what we want to do and all of that. And this one is titled Hill of Hope. On this hill we rise and die, we elope from this sinking pit. On this hill we rise and shine, we provoke the gods to come to our aid. The needy are crying to the needy. We cover our faces in the mud. My hands bite the dust in my left pocket and leave a hole in my heart. On this altar of sacrifice, we are like children in need. We die on this hill of hope. Thank you. The next poem is titled, so they are just like sequence. This one is titled Hill of Broken Dreams. We are forgotten towers, devoured on the hill where dreams gather dust like moribund trucks. We are the children with suffocating fantasies, children who die on the hill where dreams scream before disappearing into the storm. Thank you. This next one is titled Hill of Life and Death. We are children of the rising sun and the retreating moon, escapulate our lives with the world fleeting. We are prisoners in the tapestry of life and death, afterlife and earth. What is life worth without requiems? Life transitions into death, bliss tangles with mourning. I clutch at the memories of my mama and nana, of my nana and papa, like a child learning to say his first word. We are the morning dew, settling on dry grounds. We are the escaping winds, gaping at the raped window nets. Why do we fight to rest? Why do we grieve the dead? How do we cheat death? Life wears an emblem, perennial labor, and death is the resting place. Thank you. This next poem is, it's titled Isolation from my collection of poems, Booktiful Love. I know we talk about the COVID times in the past, but to be fair, COVID is still here with us. Many times you just hear people just have flu randomly, people are isolating again, we are still staying home to save lives and all of that. Yeah, so this is titled Isolation, and I wrote this poem at the peak of the COVID pandemic. The waves of disruption swept us into isolation. We stayed home in trepidation behind jar doors. Blue rose became royalty, highly exalted, and the hunt for sanitizers left us blue and weary. Every new day we grieved the dead, and every essential shopping trip was escapulated with morbid dread. Our lives hung on the thread like a saint in the land of the dead. The sight of mass graves made every breath feel like a prized possession. We watched the news, and the news fed our hearts until the gloom crept from the screens into our souls, wreaking havoc so fatal like mortal blows. Some governments wrapped their arms around flailing shoulders and protected their vulnerable, while some others showed their true colors, desecrate the commonwealth, whilst the people cling to the strings of survival. Heroes were born, with some dying in active service. I will lower the flag at half-staff. Yes, they were sacrificial lambs on the altar of compassion, in service to humankind. Conspiracy theories flew on wings, and closest races went on a rampage. The crescendo of ignorance was intercontinental. New words like quarantine, social distancing, and stay home to save lives became our revival song. After this pandemic halt its bloodthirsty reign of pain and sorrow, We will learn to live in the way once known without the horror of isolation. We will hold hands in reckless abandon. We will lock tongues and sway our bodies to new music. We will dream again of a future without the pain of isolation. Thank you. This next monster from a Booktiful Love is titled Bury Me in the Library. And I know we writers, we always have figments of imagination when we die, how we would like to be buried. And this is Tolu A saying, when I die, bury me in the library. Write my name on a map when my time is up. Build me a statue, a gigantic statue. Bury me with a catalogue of books. Don't railroad my chance to walk this Hall of Fame with a badge of honor. You say, no smoke without fire. Lightning kissed dust and we were consumed in a hail of fire. Draw me with all my imperfections. Sketch me with my fields, with my scars and wrinkles, mistakes and joy, sorrows and dream. Erase nothing, for when I go, I want to go clean. Write my name in the sands of time before my sun goes down and twilight arrives. Thank you. This next poem is a poem, I'm not sure I've performed it before, but it's a poem I really love, and it's titled Strange Dance of Chickens. The chickens are conservative, some are belabored with the orchestra of confusion. Live, remain, single market, confusion, tyranny, backstop, House of Commons, Brexit, exit, remain, elections, stalemate, elections. Can we just put a full stop to this anomaly? This is a strange dance of chickens. Some are green with envy, and others are liberal to a fault. It's a campaign of deceit, colored by lies. It's a strange dance of chickens, and the chickens are confused by their own wonky steps. Can I have a large roll like a lion? Can I have a large roll like a lion? Can I have a large roll like a lion?
Tolu, Akinyemi, everybody! Okay, we're going to have a short Q&A now, so if anyone has any questions for Tolu, just hand up and ask away.
Yes. So my question was, where do you find your inspiration for your pieces?
Yeah, so the inspiration comes from everyday human experiences, like I performed poems about isolation. I've written a full-length collection about the black experience, what it means to be black, and yeah, that was Black Does Not Equal Inferior. So I've written a poem about a full-length collection about the lockdown. So just I feed off like everyday happenings. It was just more about reading, digesting stuff, reading everything I could lay my hands on, historical books, and from there I started writing my own pieces, started writing essays, poetry, stories, and yeah, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy.
Abigail?
What gave you the idea to even be an author?
Yeah, in terms of the idea, like I never planned for once to say, oh, I would like to be an author, or that was the end goal. The idea was just, I used to love like books. I used to love the fact that I could pick up a novel and the emotions, how a book can transport you from where you are now, or I grew up in Nigeria, I could follow like things happening around the world. So I love that part whereby I could get into a character, and maybe when the character is dead or something bad happens to that character, yeah, so I become like emotionally involved in that character. So the idea was always to become an author, but I think life just happened, and I just felt like I knew I had like a lot of materials that I'd written, and I feel like I saw people around me who had also published books, and I felt like, oh, I don't want to die with all of these gems within me. So I decided to, I published the first book, published the second one, the third one, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh, the eighth, the ninth, the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and now 21st, with the 22nd book on the way here. So not like that idea was there initially, but I think with time, it just, it dawned on me that all of us seated here, we all have gifts, we have books within us, we have different things we can do. It's just for us to like unleash that, and if you believe in yourself that you can do it, then there's no one stopping you as well.
Do you ever worry that you run out of creative inspiration to write?
Yeah, so basically, I think at times, I had an interview with Write Out Loud recently, and I said I feel like I have peaked already. So there are times I just feel like, oh, that's the end. I've done my best. There's nothing more that will be coming out. Like I've explored all areas I think I can explore. But recently I just started writing like just a random conversation with a mentee of mine on a Sunday afternoon, and I just started writing again. So even though you feel like, oh, these ideas are coming to an end, but like as writers, just something random might come to your mind, and you just feel like, oh, it's time for me to write something fresh, something new. And I wrote like I said it's going to be a chapbook of love poems, and it ended up being like a full length, just managed to take over to become like a full length collection of love poetry. So I think at times as writers, we try to like cage ourselves to feel like, oh, we can't write again, but inspiration just comes out of nowhere. I was discussing with Omotayo sometimes, and I was like, oh, I think I have inspiration for another book. I want to write like a Christian themed collection of poems that will just be like, maybe when I die and I get to the kingdom of heaven, go like, oh, what did you do for the people? Why without your talent? I say, oh, see the poetry collection. This is the poetry collection. People that can't go knocking door to door to say, oh, I want to preach the gospel of Jesus or whatever. But this is the poetry collection. I can. This is my gift to the world. So at times you see that ideas just come from, even though you feel like you've come to the end of the road, something random might just come in, a conversation with a friend, with someone, or maybe you're just eavesdropping on the conversation and just get like a random idea. So I feel like even though when I feel like the door is closed, something happens, or maybe not another pandemic, but another crazy thing happens, and the writer just starts writing over again.
Are there any other writers specifically that you draw inspiration from, or that you admire?
Yeah, so in terms of admiration, like we have like literary icons from Nigeria, where I come from. We have the Chinua Achebes, who are like the grandfather of fiction in Nigeria. We have writers like Professor Wale Soyinka, who has gotten to the peak, who has achieved great literary renown across the world. So these are writers that that I look at, and I feel like if these people have been able to achieve all of this, then there's nothing stopping me as well. And I think at times as writers, we always look out for like people to create those opportunities for us and for us to feed off those opportunities. But I think the trajectory of my own journey has been is that I've tried to like create my own path as well. So not waiting for people to, because at times when you are waiting for people to give you their platforms, you just discover that you are begging people for opportunities, for the chance to get known, for the chance to be out there. But I think it's very important for us as writers to be able to like create our own channels as well, create our own platforms, give other people the opportunity to like showcase their own ideas as well. Because when we keep like waiting on people to like give us the chance, then it becomes more like narrow. But I think it's very important for us as writers as well to like just provide that platform for others, and also see what we can do to expand the culture, not just waiting for opportunities, but see how we can affect others around us as well.
What does your day-to-day writing and editing practice look like?
Yeah, so in terms of day-to-day routine, I have a day job, so I'm much more like immersed in that. As a father of 2 young children, school runs in the morning, school runs in the afternoon. In between that, talking in like day job and all of that. So I think basically, in terms of writing routine, I tend not to like say, I'm a writer. I don't really believe in like, write 100 words daily, write 50 words daily, or write 2,000 words daily. I just believe that as writers, I believe in spontaneity. So most times the ideas come, they are spontaneous. Like when I was talking about that chapbook, within 2 weeks, when I started and it became like a full length, I finished it within 2 weeks. So I deal more like writing spontaneously rather than saying, I want to write 50 words today. I don't fault writers who tend to like write daily or follow like a set pattern. I think writing spontaneously has really worked for me. So there's no major routine, but every morning I wake up as well, I jog, feeding off nature, all of that. When I wrote my collection of poems on the Black experience, it was mainly during my jogging, early morning jogging routine that I wrote that collection. So I would just be jogging, the idea is coming, I'm picking my phone, I'm pausing, I'm writing, when I get home and all of that. Yeah, so there's no set pattern. I just follow that spontaneous method, and so that way I don't have to deal with like writing blogs or because I only write when I'm forward, when the creative juice is flowing. Yeah, so that's my routine and pattern.
How would you describe your publishing journey?
Yeah, so I would say my publishing journey has been quite interesting. I think it's also been easier for the fact that I also have like a publishing imprint, the Lion of Newcastle, so where I've published all of my books, and I have some other authors on the imprint as well. So the publishing journey I think is also easy because I have my own imprint where I used to like push out my works, and yeah, so I don't really have to deal with rejections, because if there is just getting rejection, then I will be the one practically rejecting myself. And I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah, so the journey has been easy, it's been smooth, but in terms of the writing, the writing has been, probably if I was a full-time writer, I would have like the time to actually write more books, but the fact that I have a day job and all of that, it's not been easy to, although I think my peak period, I had like 5 or 6 books a year during my peak, the years that I really flourished. Yeah, so I think that's the writing journey so far.
Sorry. What advice would you give to aspiring writers and kind of young writers as well, who want to get into the industry?
Yeah, so I think the advice I'll give to writers is that writing is a vulnerable sport. When you decide to write, share your ideas with the world, you open yourself up to criticism. You become vulnerable because sharing your stories, sharing your ideas, so everyone will like it. But just keep writing, keep telling your stories, because when you don't tell your story, what we get is that people they distort history. When I was at Time Out Market selling my books, someone bought my collection of poems born in lockdown, and they said, "Oh, Tolu, thank you for writing this collection of poems." Because what would have happened is that in years to come, people would just tell like different fallacies, different lies about the COVID times. But when we as writers who have lived through these times, we document these stories, we tell our stories, then we don't give people that chance, that ability to distort the stories, the narratives, or to just change the narrative entirely. So So I think it's very important for us as aspiring writers to believe in that, your writing voice, to believe in yourself as well, because most times as writers, as creatives, there could be times that we lose confidence as well in our craft, in our voice. Just believe in yourself, believe in your own ability, and don't try to be a copy of someone else. You are good in your own lane, you are good with your own, your own scheme, your writing scheme, your writing voice, and yeah. So that would be my advice to someone like me.
I was just thinking about some of the things you said you wrote about, so sort of living life as someone from Nigeria, and just hearing some of the verses in your Dance of the Chickens poem, you touched quite a lot on sort of politics and the way things are run by the politicians. That was the sort of undertone that I got, and I was just wondering whether you've ever used your poetry as a form of protest or activism to talk about the issues that you feel really passionate about, or times where you've maybe felt discriminated against.
Yeah, so I think I've used my poetry to some people call me like an angry poet. And I'm just, so I've written like collections to like protest against, the injustice, the corruption in the system, the politicians and the politricians and all of that, using it to protest against all of the issues that affect us like in society. And I believe like as writers, that is in our place as well, irrespective of what the consequence might be or the consequences of our writings. We are meant to use our writing as a medium. Well, it depends on who the writer is anyway, but for me, from my own perspective, I believe we as writers, we need to use our voice to project some of the issues that impact us in society, and I've been doing that a lot. In terms of my poem about, the issues that affect the black people, discrimination, either in the workplace, or in society in general, I've written like a full-length collection of poems talking about these issues that affect black people, and just to be able to voice out the issues that affect my people. And that collection actually resonated with a lot of people. So I'm a writer who believes so much. There was a time I was even afraid that if I get to Nigeria, maybe I might even just get arrested at the airport. Maybe at the airport I will just get picked up to say, oh, this guy, this poet who is just like, who writes about us, writes about the issues. But I think it's our place as writers to talk about these issues, the same way we expect like people to use music as a medium to express the issues of society. I think we as writers as well, it's in our place as well to protest, to be activists, to shout out from the rooftops the issues affecting us in society, and hoping that someday people will listen to us as well.
Thank you.
You've published poetry, you've published prose, you have a couple of children's books as well. Do you think one form of art supersedes the other?
Yes, sir. Yeah, so I don't believe that one supersedes the other. Although I think I've published so many poetry collections, I believe that for every genre, every genre that I've published in, it's had its own impact across those different niche and within the marketplace as well. So if either I'm writing children's books, or I'm writing short stories, or I'm writing poetry or essays, I believe that all of these genres have their own unique place, and I'm happy I'm able to just write these books and not trying to put one on the pedestal higher than the other. So for me, it's just about writing, irrespective of the genre, just being able to write and get the work out there. That's the idea.
Do you have a favourite genre that you prefer to write in?
Man, I would say possibly poetry, and I think poetry for the brevity of language. I think that's what gives us poets the edge. If I were to write like a collection of short stories, my collection of short stories was about 40,000 words in total, and I know if that were to be like a poetry collection, that could give me easily 10 books. That could give me easy 10 books. So I think the benefit of poetry is that the brevity of language, you are able to, if I want to protest about, I wrote like a story in my collection of short stories, Black Lives Matter, that would have been like 2,000 words, but I can just write like a poem, 12 lines, 14 lines, and I'll be able to protest about all the issues that took me thousands of words to be able to like articulate. So for poetry, the brevity of language makes it like unique for me as well.
Do you ever get like days where you have like imposter syndrome, or days where you get the inspiration but you feel like, oh, I don't feel in a place where I can write about this, and then how would you combat that sort of negative emotional space?
Yeah, so in terms of imposter syndrome, like mainly I try to write in my own, in terms of my own voice, and yeah, so I think mainly I don't really experience that syndrome. I try mainly to be like myself, even within the writing. If I don't feel like what I'm writing would like, at times I'm not afraid to chop off as well. So if I've written something and I feel like, oh, I've written like very good poems, at the end of the day, just chop them off and just discarded them off because I feel like maybe even the contest for this poem, or I didn't get it right. So I'm not actually afraid to like discard this or to start again. So but in terms of imposter syndrome, I just try to be myself, not try to like imitate anyone else. I believe like I'm unique in my own voice, either the writing voice or the performance voice. When you call Tolu A to the stage, you know what you're going to get. Everyone is going to roll, there's going to be a lot of energy, there's going to be like a lot of, you know, everywhere comes alive. So I think with that, I believe that in terms of defeating the imposter syndrome, I'm comfortable in my own skin, I'm comfortable with my own writing voice, and I'm comfortable in what I write as well. So I've been able to like defeat that. Then in terms of the ideas, maybe, yeah, I think it happens to all of us as writers. There are days whereby even if we have all of the inspiration, or we are not just within that headspace to write, we could be going through like an issue that is maybe bigger than you at that point in time. It could be something else which might be affecting your mental health at that point, and your focus will not be on the writing. Maybe you are thinking of your bills, you are thinking of how to pay your bills and all of that. You are not really in that headspace where you are thinking of, oh, what's the next thing I want to do. So you might have all of the ideas, but if you don't have, if you are not in that right frame to write, then it will just be like wobbly, and you don't get that final piece like what you want. You can write something, come back to it, edit it, make it better.
Do you mind if I add something to that? When I published my first collection, I had massive imposter syndrome. I was just convinced I was terrible. I had no business being a writer. I had no business trying to sell a book. Who on earth wants to hear from me? It was bad. And I think the only thing and I obviously still get that sometimes, and I think the only thing that works for me to get through it is to say that writing, like any art, is subjective. And there's, for all the people that are going to not like something that you've put out there, there are going to be people who relate to it and who, you know, really do love it. And I think that it's just remembering that you have as much right as anybody else to put your work out there, whether it's poetry or art or music or whatever. Just go for it, because at the end of the day, if you've conquered that fear and put something out there, that's amazing. You know, even if you hit a wall with, you know, reception, you've still worked really hard to do something and to put it out there. So yeah, totally. Anyone else have any questions? Go for it.
If you didn't write, what sort of art would you create? Would you be a musician or a painter or a filmmaker?
Yeah, so if I was not a writer, I would probably be a comedian. Making people laugh. I have a couple of jokes. My wife says my jokes are not funny, but I believe I could rouse any audience the same way I rouse them to roar. I will find a way around it and become a great comedian. And maybe in another life I will be a footballer. in the football pitch, they call me Tolutoludo. So good. So like, I'm very good on the football pitch. I play good football. I'm the one who sprays the passes, who looks everywhere, don't run, just like JJ Okocha, so good. Or like Kanu Wanko. Yeah, so if I would have been earning like 200 grand a week now, and you know, not roaring on the football pitch. So, either comedian or footballer, any of those two would have been, you know, the things that bringing in the lifestyle.
An alternative yoga.
Yeah, alternative, like when I come to life again, yeah.
Anyone else? Should we head up the next spot of the microphone?
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
Do you have what it takes to be one of us? You will need to pass my test. It won't be easy. This movement needs to be protected from others, Tories and other such bigots. So I'm sorry if you can't make it in. Our rigorous test keeps us safe and will allow us to build a better world. Are you sure you want to go through with this? I can't describe just how many people fail this test. You really want to go for it? Okay, well, don't say I didn't warn you. Don't come crying to me. Here it goes. Do you have basic human levels of empathy? Okay, I'm going to give you the choice now. So I've got a poem called Stand and a poem called Clouds. Hands up for Stand. Hands up for Clouds? I'll do Clouds. I like to watch the clouds. I'm not unique in that way. We like to look for shapes, patterns. We think the shapes come to us. I'm sure plenty of us look to them as an omen, telling truths of what's to come. But we mold the clouds. Those shapes are our own creation. Terrifying thought for some, the clouds cannot tell us our future. We must depend on only ourselves. But what liberation to mold the clouds, creating shapes of our own and casting them off into the wind, carried out into the world. Yes, they'll fade, nothing lasts forever, but mold nonetheless. Care not for discouragement. Take your time on an ethereal masterpiece, or push out your many creations. Mold as you please, and leave your mark on our very sky. If only for a moment, leave your mark on our very sky. Okay, I've got Ritual or Pink. So hands up for Ritual. Ritual it is. We might have time for Pink, to be fair. When you are ready to leave your isolation, when you are healed or can no longer remain in exile, cleanse yourself. Totally cleanse yourself. Then place some pigment in a bowl or cup. Whip it with a brush until consistent. Now paint your skin. Cover the area completely and thick. Fill a basin with warm water. Look at your reflection. Then take blade to skin, slowly and gently, until you are reborn. So this one sounds a bit gruesome, but it's just about shaving. Okay, let's do Pink as well. We've got time. They say what you are, what you eat, and I suppose that's true. Flamingos get their colour from the food that they eat or krill in the water or whatever. In nature, they're beautiful, bright and elegant. In captivity, they fade a bit. Well looked after, I'm sure, but mutant. They don't get what they need from the water and food, so they get supplements without the lovely colouring. Of course, flamingos don't know what pink is, what it means to live in captivity, or what supplements are. In the wild, I'm vibrant, creative, witty, interesting and interested. In captivity, I'm crushed by the endless grind. I see the injustice of our imprisonment. I see what we do not have. My doctor gave me a supplement for that. And the 6 sessions of therapy signed off after 4, when on the last session the therapist says, "Oh, so it's a deeply existential depression? No shit, Sherlock. Well, I can't help you there. Every day I see what they have and what they steal and what they stole, so now I have my meds. I give my brain what I need to get by. I'm not vibrant, but I survive. I air my grievances. They say you are what you eat, and I suppose that's true. Every morning I swallow that pill, but that just makes me bitter." Thank you.
Okay, next up is Column 2.
The title of my poem is Happiness. A slightly varied version of this has been previously published in the Happiness issue of Ishele magazine. The world tries to define our happiness, to tie our mellow hearts to the material things, the big achievements. As I grow older, I value happiness more. Life changes, and so do our problems. I enjoy indulging in the little things that make you happy. I call them the little big things. Like finding one missing ear of my AirPods under my son's crib. Like my son enjoying his home-cooked meal. Sun-dried clothes. Nicely roasted barley. Not too soft, not too hard. Perfectly salted and crunchy groundnuts. London, a few hours after the morning rush. Waiters cleaning up leisurely, no pressure, like taking a stroll in a wealthy man's life. Sun rays that eat with the right amount of heat. Hot and soft puff-puff, like arriving in time for the last batch being scooped out of hot oil. Lagos without traffic on a Sunday morning. Romantic suspense, a lazy Saturday morning. Soft and mellow makeup, night drive R&B. A moonlit night, listening to the radio with the car's roof down, the breeze caressing your body, like finding a dress that hugs my curves in the right places, that fits like it was tailored with my body in mind, like hearing God speak love through a rumble of thunder, like rain that cuddles you to sleep on a Friday night or a Saturday morning, like the soft beat of raindrops on my window. Like the waiter who always remembers my breakfast order how I like it. Bread roll, butter, bacon, sausage, omelette, no sauce. Like a long-lost friend who says they think of me from time to time like I do of them. Like watching my best friend get married to the love of his life. Like reading my children's favorite bedtime story during my lunch break. Like the smell of new books. Like slipping into the train 1 minute before the door closes, when the next train doesn't arrive until 20 minutes after. Like matching each pair of socks after laundry. Like my grandma on video call, 6,000 miles away, exclaiming how much my children look like her. Like my yearly reread of my favorite classic. Like watching sappy romance on a summer afternoon. Like unbreaking in the places you thought could never be mended. Like my demons finally letting my neck go so I can breathe a little at ease. Like my children humming along to their favorite cartoon rhyme. Like seeing the girl I wave goodbye to at the bus stop every morning. I do not know her name, she doesn't know mine. Happiness comes in waves, like the ability to write, the gift to carve my feelings into words and spit them on paper. Like the view of the big sky from the window of a small plane. Happiness comes in waves. Today, it came in the form of a lazy afternoon in a bookstore. Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you. Okay, last up on the open mic, we've got Andy. Once he gets himself organised.
Can't remember what I was going to read. I'll read that. I'm going to do one of before. I've never read this before. In fact, I didn't even realise I wrote it until about 10 minutes ago. Yeah, so this is a song. I don't do songs. This is a poem about the time I went to the Baltic, and it's about the journey from the car park to the Baltic. It's about this time of day you start to see the futility of it all. Screech the busker, perched on the water's edge by the pub-up bar with 30 pence to his name for a full day's work. And I just walked on by. His words resounded and repeated in my mind, and then I stopped. Fished around in my pocket and found a £2 coin, walked a few steps back and paid the man for his advice. He thanked me as I turned to walk away for the final time and began playing a song I don't know the name of. Even if it is all futile, it's nice to know that strangers can still change a day with a few words, and it's good to be reminded that the streets always sound better with music. That's it. Yeah, I can't read this one. It's far too perverse.
Fair enough.
I can't. I really want to.
Okay, can I welcome back to the stage Tolu A.
Can I have a loud roar like a lion? Oh. That's a quiet roar. Can I have a loud roar like a lion? This one is from my collection of poems, Dead Lions Don't Roar, and this is titled Moments. Anxiety wells up in my belly. It stench up my guts, like the unflushed toilet in the neighborhood. Depression pays a visit and wanders off through the back door into thin air. There are nights when I feel my skin crawl from doses of fear. 2, 3, 4. I can't tell. I flounder into wet gardens with beautiful landscapes, leaving the gloom, my gloom for dead. Those dark spaces are real. Like a drunken man on a pub crawl, I kill my demons. 1, 2, 3. Knockout. I wander off into dreamland. Thank you. This next one is titled Half Men, Half Gods. We are half men, half gods, spirit beings wandering till we reach a dead end. Death is the end of the sojourn, our sojourn. There were days of black pots, black, dirty pots, that cooked meals that looked like burnt offerings. We died, we lived, and we died again. That was purpose. Thank you. This one is from my collection of poems, A God in a Human Body, and this talks about the climate change and issues that affect us and the climate. And this is titled Flood and Fire. The flood that swept the great oak tree was a vicious storm. Say, Storm Nancy. Why give precious names to these callous winds? The flood that washed away the fig tree was a talking drum. How do we name a barren tree without an axe to grind? The fires that left California in brazen ruins were louder than firecrackers. Why do we earn climate change with a loose tag, oaks? The fire that turned the Amazon into a dark shadow was hollow and grave. How do we open the heavens to sky respite from this raging heat? Thank you. This next one is, after COVID happened, with the number of people that passed, with the, the whole world on lockdown, the frenzy and everything. I wrote this poem and it's titled Thankful. The world was losing steam like a car engine overheating on the motorway. The sound bites from the news were jarring. Apocalypse came and looked the other way. We burst into a bubble of sparkling joy. This revival, we have no losers. We are thankful for the blue sky, still blue, the sunshine breaking into a bubble of delight, the moon rays, our basket of hope. The evil winds did not break us. We are the unbroken generation who survived the raging pandemic. This nostril, blowing light winds, is calming like they say. Pause and reflect. Pause and cry. Cry and pause. Cry a bucket. Cry tears of joy. Cry tears of joy. Cuddle your tears. Hope is here at last. Hope was never lost. Can't you see the connecting dots that kept our lights aflame? I can see the flame in your eyes, the sheer joy erupting like a volcano, the beam of thanks pouring down like rain from the heavens. This poem will wrap itself in gratitude, breaking forth like spring fountains. Immerse yourself in gratitude. With a roaring scream of thanks, a new beginning is here, new beginnings like no other, betting possibilities fresh as the morning dew. This cup of thanks needs no sweetness. These words on the page will resonate for a lifetime. We chose the chorus of gratitude rather than sink under the throes of defeat. Thank you. This next one is titled Village People. In Nigeria, there's this popular balance whereby if you are about to achieve something worthwhile, people are scared of like practically people that know them that could plot to bring them down. So this is titled Village People. In those interlands called villages are people, humans that fly at night, ragged mothers of the night. The issue was like they don't exist. They see no borders. They require no visa. I see village people, principalities and night marauders. Montpellier says with heaviness felt in the weight of his words, hide your blessings from village people before they bring you down like a plane blown into pieces with a missile. I am thinking aloud, how can I hide? I laminate my blessings and take a screenshot. Don't ask me why I pray, why I take the communion, why I pray without ceasing. My village people are coming, but they are coming to their end. Thank you. So I'll close with 2 poems from Architect of a Cleaner Financial System, my collection of financial crime compliance poems, and this one is titled Know Your Bank. I want to know my bank like I know my partner, unravel the secrets hidden from the regulator's radar. I want to know my bank. I want to know how my bank tracks my every move, sends me endless notifications that leave me feeling vulnerable. I want to know the real bank beyond the public spectacle, the semblance of a grand cover-up. Thank you. And this final one is titled Risk Assessments. This relationship is at a boiling point, and and the divorce papers await signatures. The purpose of relationship is at odds with your words, which were once quoted with honey. The car has veered off its course. Ominous clouds gather. We are assessing the risk that are a signal of what's to come. Then the second one, I am assessing this relationship again. This is toxic, a loaded gun. The air is melancholic, and sorrowful music paints a dark picture. I have been blinded by familiar spirits and tokenism, enticing roadblocks for potential client exits. I think I will just wrap up with a poem on love to end the night on a lovely note. Yeah, so this is titled A Booktiful Love, and I'll read this to close the night. Our love was layered in similes and metaphors. Your love language was erotical, and meeting you was non-fiction. I tell you stories colored in fantasy and send you off to dreamland with poetry, rhymes and free-flowing verses. This isn't science fiction or historical fiction. This was us. Their days are buried in the pit of self-help books. I read 7 ways to be a good husband and 5 steps to show a woman untainted love. Never say how to be a good wife. Mute it. Just be silent. It might lead to horror stories. A little humor spiced up with romance, and our love will be a picture book. This isn't a mystery or thriller. It's just me, a young adult living in fantasy. I will make you the lead character in my debut novel. A work of young adult fiction. I will write out your name in bold in my memoir and autobiography. Don't say fiction. This is pure and unadulterated love. A booktiful love. Can I have a loud roar like a lion? Can I have a loud roar like a lion? Can I have a loud roar like a lion? Thank you very much.
Thank you everyone for coming out, thank you everyone who read, and obviously a huge thank you to Tolu. Can we have another big round of applause for Tolu Akinyemi? And a round of applause for everyone who got up for the open mic. Well done everyone. Okay, we're going to have some time now for anyone who wants to buy one of Tolu's books. There's going to be a sign-in and bit over the back there, and all of the performers and organisers and what have you for this evening can have a free drink. So if you want one, it's tea, coffee or soft drinks. Just let me know what you want and I'll head up to the bar and get that for you. Okay, thank you again for coming everybody.